Hey, this is Susan Ragsdale with Right Creations Group. I am here with Joseph Guiterrez, who has been working with young people for over a decade in and out of the classroom, and talking about reflection, which is the big point of our next book, Great Group Reflections. Joseph, thank you for taking time to do this.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so I'm just starting with the basis. What does reflection mean to you? Why is it important?
I think reflection is really important, especially even for young people, because it centers it back on themselves. And I think young people, and I mean, just people in general, get pulled in a lot of directions. So it's important to take the time of day just to really look inwardly.
And is that something from what you've seen that they do well?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I used to teach, I used to end most days with a short reflection practice. And a lot of the times it would be really short. I would just ask young people to write down one thing that they learned in the session, or sometimes it would be one thing that they really liked about the session, just to really think about them and what they got out of something. And I still do that every day for myself. I just usually, at the end of every day before I go to bed, I look at my to-do list, and then I also write down what is one thing I learned.
So that's what you did intuitively at the end of sessions. Were there other activities that you found that were helpful in building their practice of reflection, or other favorite activities that you had?
Every once in a while, I would use a meditation technique and just really have young people just sit quietly and peacefully and play music in the background. And I thought that was really helpful. And I think for really younger kids, it's difficult to really get them to focus and buy into that. But once they do, I think the payoffs, they really like it. So.
Okay, so that's cool, because one of the activities that I'm excited about that's in the book, I built off of yoga practice. So you teach them the pose, they hold the pose while you're asking a question and just kind of think about it. And you go to a new pose, a new question, and then at the end, you can circle back and say, so what's something that came to mind during this? Because it's still sort of that meditative, giving time for introverts to reflect and think and trying to come at it from a different angle. So I'd love that you did meditation and music. That's a great thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like yoga a lot too, and I think it's great because I also think it's a multicultural practice that people don't seem to recognize, that there are Asian roots and Hindu roots, and really thinking about what yoga means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fun. So do you have, from your experience of leading reflection, and you also do that now in a different way with adults, because you're doing all these listening groups and things, so you're still kind of continuing that practice, which is really interesting. Do you have tips or insights to how to help draw out reflection, or how to ask the questions to get them to expand their thinking beyond here, to broaden and look at things from different angles?
Definitely. I think it can be really hard sometimes for people who aren't self-reflective normally. So I think at the beginning, when you're sort of leading exercise, it helps to just provide some context and just some guiding questions for people to think about as they start reflecting, or as you ask them to start reflecting. And just, I think that's really helpful for adults, honestly. If they're not really into it, then just for them to enter the space holding some thoughts already.
Okay, last question. How have you benefited most from reflection? Because you said not only have you done it with others, but you can continue to do it for yourself. And that's another piece we talk about in the book, is the benefits of reflection. So is that something you can say off the top of your head, how you've benefited?
Definitely. I think around sort of just writing down what I learn every day, it also helps me really keep grounded and focused sort of as a lifelong learner. And I'm about to start school again in the fall, so it's also really helpful for me to think about that too, and it just sort of keeps me thinking about what I'm learning.
Cool. All right, there you go. Quick few minutes, the importance of reflection. Thank you, Joseph. I like having you involved in this. And check out our new book, Great Group Reflections, 60 Compelling Challenges to Prompt Self-Discovery and Critical Thinking. Thanks, Joseph.
Yeah, no worries.